by 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most awesomest homesteading channel on the entire internet that has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. Yes, I know I look rough. I look haggard. I've just been splitting firewood for like 3 hours, and I just recently stopped sweating. I've been sitting up here, and let me show you my view. This is a great view. This is one of my favorite places to sit here on the property. I just see that big field down there, all the trees and bushes that we planted. I watch them grow. But I just spent probably the most enjoyable 20 minutes of my day just before hitting record. What was I doing? Wasn't splitting firewood. It was sitting here kind of recouping from that, but sitting up here talking with my son. He just took a long nap, like a 3-hour long nap, because he had not one, but like 2 sleepover play dates things this weekend. He's a teenager now. He's 13. So he tells me we're not allowed to call him play dates anymore because people will think he's a baby. The cool kids call it hanging out or something. So he was hanging out 2 nights in a row. And yeah, I look like I was in a ring with new, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk. Congratulations goes out to Usyk. Listen, I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan. Love that guy. But I did watch the fight, and Usyk won. But no, this was a sty. It finally popped, so it's getting better. But yeah, I look like I took one from Usyk or Fury. My view, Usyk, I think he won twice. He won the decision, but also I think they should have stopped the fight in the 9th round. That would have been a TKO if it was anybody else other than, Michael Jordan. When he played basketball, he got away with a lot of stuff because he was Michael Jordan. And I think Fury wasn't, the ref didn't stop the fight and call that a TKO because it was Tyson Fury. But hey, Usyk, my man, congrats. And I'm so happy for the people of Ukraine. What a morale boost that must be. But they are going to rematch in October, and I'm rooting for Fury. I just like him a little bit better, okay? But absolutely congratulations to Usyk. So, and I'm rooting for Mike Tyson, who's going to knock Jake Paul the F out if that fight's not scripted. Starting to wonder how much of it is scripted, though. A lot of people will comment on if I post on our Facebook page, Sick Twisted Humor, which, by the way, just hit 830,000 followers. Thank you if you're among them. We're going to get to 1 million, I'm hoping, by Christmas. But they comment that boxing has become just as fake as the WWE, and it's just as scripted. I don't know. But I spent 20 minutes talking to my son, and we talked about some stuff that I wanted to talk about today, because I hope that you might pass this on to your children and your grandchildren. 74% of you watching this are my age or older. So this is information that might not benefit you directly, but it could really, really... I think I see a fox. Hold on. Wait a minute. Do you see that? Look down there. I have seen so much stuff from just right here, and I see foxes regularly. I know their pattern, though. They typically don't come out until like the very last 5 minutes of daylight. Now get this. One day last week, I was sitting down there at the bottom of the field watching the sunset over the campground where I usually make the videos is way up there. There's a trail, goes way up there in the woods. Oh man, that woods is grown up so great. A lot of you have been watching this channel from the beginning, and you can remember when this was a hayfield. Well, it's not a hayfield anymore. But yeah, I saw it was a black feline. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I've got neighbors, but we're all spread out. Yes, I know some people have cats. Excuse me. But it seemed longer, and its tail seemed longer, and it was solid black. And I know that a couple of times I've captured something on video here on some of these YouTube videos that even the viewers agreed was a panther. And when I first saw it for the first time, it was probably been 4 or 5 years ago now. I started Googling like panther sightings in my area, and there's been 3 in the last 20 years in this little community called Crozet, Virginia. It's spelled like Crozet, C-R-O-Z-E-T, but it's Crozet, named after a World War I artillery officer whose last name was Crozet. He actually came here from France. So anyway, it was World War I. They've seen them, and somebody commented on this channel when I was talking about it before. It was a woman who lives in Crozet and who knows a game warden who told her they're here. They just want to keep it a secret because they don't want the poachers coming in trying to kill one so they can put it on the wall. You know what I mean? I totally get that. A lot of people say the same thing. I got a contact in Colorado who just a couple of weeks ago sent me a similar message in regards to the Bigfoot Sasquatch. Game warden told her, listen, we know they're here and we want to get them on the protected species list, but there has to be a certain confirmed number of them to get them put on the protected list, and we're not there yet. So, but they don't want to just come out and say it now because the poachers will come in, because who wouldn't want to have a Bigfoot Sasquatch head mounted on their wall, right? I wouldn't. So anyway, I was talking to my son, just life stuff, and we've got a good relationship. A lot of his friends are always telling him that his parents are strict, and they were shocked that, because something happened a few weeks ago at a party, and he talked to me about it because he wasn't comfortable with it. And so I talked to him about this situation. And so when it came up with him and his friends in his friends group, and he says, my dad told me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh my God, you told your dad about that? He's like, yeah. And it's just kind of reminded me that not every child has a relationship with their parent to such a degree that they can openly and freely just talk about anything. And I think that's sad. And especially in the times in which we live, because of what you're looking at right now, a video from some guy sitting in his field. I would say I'm outstanding in my field, but I'm out sitting in my field here in Central Virginia. The internet, the World Wide Web, particularly social media. So let's get into it. I've been talking about panthers and Bigfoot and fields and trees for almost 8 minutes. I'm different. I'm built different, I think. I'm wired differently. I don't do well with like jobs. And job, J-O-B, we all know that's an acronym for just over broke, right? Anyway, it's not that I don't work well with others or don't play well. Hey, I play great with others, brah. You want to come here and hang out and have a cookout, and man, it's going to be never ending. But as far as working well with you, nah, probably not so much. And, it just doesn't make sense to me. If I'm going to spend my time working to do anything to make somebody else rich, no, I'm going to work to make myself rich. So any efforts I put forth to generate revenues, doing anything, putting things together on an assembly line, it's going to be my assembly line. I'm not going to do it to make Procter & Gamble rich. If it's driving a delivery truck for Pepsi, no, I'll be driving my delivery truck, delivering whatever products, or I'll own the delivery company, because it just doesn't make sense to give up 8 hours a day so you get 3 or 4 to yourself before it's time to go to bed, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 in this economy, so you get 1 to yourself, maybe 2, 51 weeks a year, so you get 2 weeks off, and then to do that for 30 to 40 years, the best 30 or 40 years of your life, so that when you're done with that, hey, you've helped increase the profits of some publicly traded corporation, or you've attributed to the continuity of some government agency like a public school or the courthouse or a federal building or the post office. But here now you're old, broke, just over broke. Why? Because you had a job instead of being an entrepreneur or owning your own business. And if you didn't take care of your health, because you're too busy working to ever exercise, didn't have time for a healthy meal, so you went through McDonald's drive-thru all the time or ordered whatever. You don't have the strength, energy, or the physical health to go out and actually do the fun stuff that you always said you're going to do. You know, and I'm getting back, trust me, it all comes around. Those of you who have watched me for a long time know I talk about a million different things, but it all ties in together at the end. When we were in the Philippines this winter, we went over there in October. We went a little too early. I missed fall. I was over there on Halloween. I don't know if y'all caught that trick. The last 2 weeks of October, I was in the Philippines, but the first 2 weeks of October, I came out here and made like 3 videos a day and then scheduled them to publish because I'm an October storyteller. I've got to tell the stories October nights. If you've read those books, available on Amazon, printer, Kindle. You can get an autographed copy from me from our Etsy store. The link is in the description box below if I remember to put it in there. So that's my gig, man. October, I got to tell those scary stories. But I was actually in the Philippines. So it was around, and we didn't come home until March. It was 5 months. It was around, I think, January. We were at this beautiful place. No, it was February. Coldest month of the year here in Virginia. We're at this beautiful place called, the island was called Palawan, and the community was called El Nido, E-L-N-I-D-O, El Nido, 2 words. You can scroll back, go to my videos and scroll back through the history. You'll see videos of us. When we're in El Nido, what did we do? We zip lined from one island to another. It was literally like a 2-mile long zip line, and it was awesome. I made an hour-long video on there where we took this boat tour where we went island hopping all day, and we went scuba diving, and we kayaked through sea caves, went to various beaches on various islands. It was a wonderful time. But here's something very interesting about Palawan and El Nido. It's actually, Palawan is, last year, Travel Magazine named it the most beautiful island in the world. I've been there, done that, didn't read about it in a textbook or watch a documentary on a headline cable channel. I was there. I saw it with these eyes. It is the most beautiful island in the world, in my humble opinion. El Nido, the town, is the most visited tourist spot in the Philippines. And I can see why. It was a beautiful place. It was clean. It wasn't all like third world dirty, like unfortunately a lot of the country is. The Filipino people that lived there and worked there were the most respectful people I've met in my life. None of this, hey, Joe, give me money crap you'll often hear when you're over there. No, it was, yes, sir, thank you, sir. The prices were the same for everybody. They didn't charge the skin tax. But if you don't know what that means, basically when if you're like a Western tourist, especially a Caucasian Western tourist, and you're visiting non-white third world countries like Southeast Asia, African nations, they'll charge you 2 to 3 times as much as they'll charge the locals for anything because they assume you're a rich American and you have all the money. So why not? And you should just give it to them because you have it and they don't, and your government just gives it to you anyway. You don't work for it. Yeah, it's one of the most frustrating things about going over there. It's like having to hear that lecture about how, the reason I have what I have, like, look, let me show you. I'm going to do a slow pan here. The reason I have all this is because my government gave it to me. Yeah, and these people that tell you this believe it. It's insane. Like, after a while, it's like, man, it's time to go home and pay taxes, So anyway, we were on the beach there in Palawan one day. It was February, and we had just a few days before that got a text from a good friend and a great neighbor of mine, who said, FYI, he was taking care of our property in the house while we were gone. He did a great job. He was down here often, and actually a tree limb fell off of a big poplar, and it took out the power line where it attaches to the house. The line runs into the house and it's anchored. There's an anchor there. The power goes in. Ripped that off about 2 weeks before we got home. This guy called the power company, had him come out to fix it, and he came down here to watch him do it. Also, I had him start my truck all winter so that, it wouldn't all goo up and stuff. The battery died. He went out and got a new battery and put it in my freaking truck for me. Man, you talk about great. That's really something, isn't it? So anyway, we're sitting on this beach. It was February, and he had texted me that the water in the back of our toilets was frozen. That's how cold it was here in Virginia. We had the power turned off to the house, no heat, of course. We were sitting on the beach, so we didn't care. But we're looking around, and the thing about El Nido, Palawan, you go there, you'll see thousands and thousands of people a day. But it's not overcrowded. It's a big place, and they're all like white, black. They're Western tourists. And so we were looking around, and I felt like I was in Key West, Florida, which is a beautiful place. And I think we're going to spend next winter in Florida. Or somewhere the Gulf Coast, maybe all of it. Maybe circle around to Corpus Christi, Texas, and just stay in between all winter. I was looking around and I noticed they were young. All these people, these Western tourists who were there in February, were like in their 30s. Some were in their 20s, some were in their early 40s, but like the average age, I'd put them at 35. And I just overhear people talking, and I heard so many languages. Rarely did I hear anybody speaking English. They would speak English when they talked to the Filipinos, like the people, like the servers at the restaurants, on the beach. I mean, we were sitting there with umbrellas on the beach. They were bringing our food to us. It was great. We didn't care that the water in the toilets back home was frozen. Actually, we enjoyed knowing that it was, because that's why we went there, to escape the winter, you know? So they would speak English when talking to the Filipinos, because the Filipinos, their national language is Tagalog, but a lot of them speak Visayan. That's the language I learned because I lived down in Mindanao, and that's the language of Mindanao. And but it's funny, anywhere you go in the world, if you're from different cultures, you have different languages. The one unifying language is English. Everybody in the world speaks English. Even if it's a non-English speaking country, they speak their language plus English, because that's how you've got to do it to communicate with everybody. And it's because America is the capitalistic capital of the world. I don't care what they say about China. That's a false, fake economy. Listen, when you're sending 8-year-old kids into the coal mines to dig your coal and you're not paying them, you're a fake economy, okay? So anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But there were no Americans. When I did hear people speaking English, it was in an English accent. There were no Americans. And I look around, and I was pointing this out to Dearly, my beautiful bride, a.k.a. Giggly Girl. Like, you notice, I think we're the only Americans here. And she's like, yeah. She's like, why is that? There's like thousands of Western people here, and none of them are Americans. And I told her it's because all we do is work. I work, but fortunately, I work in social media. If I've got an internet connection to my cell phone, I can work from anywhere. I worked over there in the Philippines. I uploaded content to Facebook, YouTube, made videos, posts, all this stuff. My income went up because it was kind of like some unique content that you folks aren't used to seeing when I'm just sitting out here in my field. But if you are in the traditional old school economy, you go away for a winter, man, you're going to lose your job, right? Or your revenues will go down. So we're blessed in that regard. But yeah, this whole concept of, in our culture, you're viewed as weak if you want to take a break, if you take a vacation, if you're not constantly doing something, working, and you're lazy. But they don't have that same mindset and that same mentality in Europe. So that's why all these folks Europeans are like, man, it's winter back home. Winter sucks. Let's go spend a month in the tropics. And they do, you know. It's common over there. Once you graduate high school, we don't rush right off to college, start that first semester in the fall. You take a year off and you bum around Europe, or you'll visit the United States, or you'll go to, Southeast Asia, or anywhere in Asia, Middle East, Africa. You garner experiences, not, work, so you can garner stuff, which is unfortunately part of this culture. I'm really glad we're homeschooling our son, and we're going to do it again this upcoming school year, and we're going to do a little bit better. We were learning the ropes this year. But the indoctrination going on in the public schools, and it's not just about pronouns and all that stuff. It's about training the child to become a worker bee, training them to become that spoke in the wheel, so that the wheel keeps going around despite their quality of life. You know what I mean? Oh, and doing all this for wages so low you can't pay your bills. So you're constantly going into debt. You know what the number one product purchased by Americans is debt. Your mortgage, your car payment, your credit card payments, your personal loans, your home equity lines of credit, debt. We are a debt-ridden society, and they don't teach you how not to do this in the public schools. They teach you how to become part of it. Heck, I almost said the other. Heck, a big part of it is pissing away $250,000 on a college degree to be a teacher. Yeah, if you go to UVA right down the road here in Charlottesville, you go for 4 years, it's $30,000 a year. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's $120,000. Let's say you get a master's, costs you another $60,000, $180,000. So let's consider what you're going to spend for food and all this stuff. You're looking at $200,000 to $250,000 a year, and you're going to go make $45,000 a year teaching. If your parents weren't rich and didn't pay for your college, or you didn't have somebody help you, that's a stupid decision. It's a stupid decision, and it's a bad investment. But this is what they teach you in the public school. And then you go out there and say, for example, you become a teacher, probably go out there and perpetuate the cycle. A lot of good teachers out there. I have a sister that's one of them. Now, she teaches for a private virtual school because she's like, and plus she gets paid twice as much. So there's just so much stuff they're not teaching. And particularly about certain dangers. And I want to talk to you about this because this is what I hope you will share with your child or your grandchild. So at one of the hangouts my son went to this weekend, they were playing with airsoft guns. You ever heard of those? They're kind of like pellet rifles, but they shoot little plastic BBs. And I guess it's popular. Daniel does have one because that's my son. When all the kids were getting into it, he wanted to get into it. So we got him one, and we got him a nice one. But here's how we do it. He uses it for target practice. I'm big on firearm safety. I was raised in West by God, Virginia. I grew up hunting. I served in the United States Army National Guard. I was attached to an active Army combat unit. I served in Iraq. I was a machine gunner. I was in the infantry. I was airborne. I've jumped out of planes. Yeah, I know, I'm crazy. Why would anybody jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I've done that stuff. I am huge on firearm safety. Number one rule, always treat every weapon. It's not a gun. A gun's a cannon. It's a piece of artillery. But a weapon, a rifle, a firearm, that's your weapon. Always treat your weapon, number one, as if it's loaded. And number two, as if it's real, even if it's a toy gun. Because I was taught, and they'll teach you in this military, anybody who will point and shoot a toy gun at somebody is like 500% more likely to point and shoot a real weapon. I'll use the word gun for you non-military people, at somebody. So at one of these parties, they were doing that. They were going around kind of like playing paintball. I never got into paintball. Because of my knowledge of firearm safety. And plus, as somebody who fought in a war, let me tell you, it's not a game. It's not fun running around trying to shoot the other guy while they're running around trying to shoot you. I've done that in real life. It's not a game. So our son doesn't do that here, okay? We don't have kids doing that here. We don't let him play Call of Duty, the video games where he's going around, because I tell him, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, come on." He's like, "All my friends are doing it." I'm like, "Listen, it's not a game. War's not a game." And I could tell some horrendous stories about how much of it's not a game, but I don't do that to him, and I won't do it here. But it's no game. But he was at one such place this weekend where that was happening, and he participated. But we talked about it again afterwards. Now, remember, that's and to each his own. And if that family chooses to do that, and they're not veterans, they never served in the military. So there's stuff that they don't know that I do. And so it's like, if that's fine. But here's what happened, okay? And this is what I want you to share with your children or your grandchildren. While they were doing this, one of those kids had it was an airsoft pistol. But he took the orange or red part off the end, which, was put there because law enforcement officers were shooting children who had toy guns because they thought these kids were going to shoot them first. That's how it started. And so the toy gun manufacturing industry started putting those little orange tips or red tips so that hey, it's not real. It's a serious thing, man. Toys are not, or guns are not toys. Toy guns are not toys. Children have been killed because people think they're real, right? And I'm all about the Second Amendment. The problem is we got too many dumbasses who don't understand firearm safety getting in possession of weapons. Okay? It's not the gun. It's just a tool, like any other tool, like a hammer. It will only do what the person using it, calls upon it to do through their actions. It's the knowledge, and plus the mental illness issue we have in this country. People call me crazy. Hey, look, I got a gate down there. You might be able to see it from here. You see that gate down there? Trust me, that's not to protect you from me. That's to protect me from you. Hey, if I'm crazy compared to the way so many people in society thinks, I don't want to be sane. So anyway, this kid, he had this handgun, looked like a handgun. It was airsoft. He took a picture of it. He was holding it out, and he just took a picture of it, and he sent this to another child. Well, number one, kudos to that other child's mother, because like our son's mother, she checks her child's phone. She knows where her child is spending time on the internet, who her child is in communication with. Kudos. Okay. But secondly, she didn't take that very well. And she took it as, because there was no context to it, there was no language to it. And this is what I'm trying to tell you about, young people, if you're watching. Perception, sadly, can end up being reality. She took this as a threat, and she texted back and said, "Who are you? I'm calling the school to report a possible school shooting. I'm calling the state police." So anyway, the kid freaked out, and it wasn't the kid having a party, but the kid who was hosting a party, their mother got involved, and she's a wonderful person. The dad's they're a wonderful family. And it's not that this was blown out of proportion. The other mother of the child who received that image was concerned. Is this somebody, are they bullying my child? Are they threatening my child? Is the entire school in danger? I don't think the other mother was wrong. So the mothers got in contact, and they had a 1 hour long conversation about this. It was resolved amicably. Nobody was, law enforcement wasn't called. The schools weren't notified. But listen, you tell your young people, children, grandchildren, if you happen to be young and you're watching, there are certain things you just don't joke about. There are certain things you do not joke about. Think before you act. Think before you speak. Because listen, what would have happened if that mother that saw that picture hadn't had the courtesy of calling the other mother or contacting the other mother? Or what if it was maybe the other mother contacted the other mother who saw the picture before she had time to call the police? What would have happened? She would have called the police. They would have had to have done an investigation. At the end of the day, nobody necessarily would have been penalized. But think about the drama that would have created. Think about the rumors, the talk. Oh, so-and-so threatened so-and-so with a gun, or so-and-so. And listen, excuse me, I don't care what people think of me. Most people think I'm a dumbass. They watch me on the internet like, this guy's an idiot. How does he have over 300,000 subscribers here on Facebook? How's this guy closing in on 1 million? I have another neighbor that I don't like who said I'm nothing more than a dumb hillbilly from West Virginia. Yeah, well, why? Because he's got a master's degree from UVA, and I make more money in a month than he makes in a year, and he didn't like that. So he had to figure out some way he could be a little bit better than me, and so he chose where I grew up. Yeah. Let me check my paycheck. Does it matter? No? Okay. But I don't care. But listen, I have the luxury of not caring because I'm in my 50s. I don't work with the general public. I'm not dependent upon anybody for financial resources. I can take care of myself quite well. So I don't care. But I'm not a 13-year-old kid in middle school whose future can be greatly hampered, if not destroyed, because they chose to do something without thinking it through and things didn't go too well. Right? Like I talked last week in the video, some kid, a 13-year-old kid at a football practice going around using the N-word, white kid, Caucasian, he's picking it up from somewhere, and just nobody sat down with that child and had a conversation and said, listen, you're not allowed to say that word. And then, of course, the rebuttal is, well, rappers say it. I hear black people call each other that. Hey, if you're not black, you are not allowed to say that word, period. But that's none of your business. That's none of your business. Your business is your business. Mind your own business. Stay out of other people's business. You're going to be a lot better off. But the problem is so many other people just won't stay out of your business. They're going to get in it. Don't give them ammunition. Don't be sending anything. These pictures, and there's a certain type of pic. Rhymes with Rick. If you're ever dumb enough to send one of those, consider your future pretty much ruined. So take this to heart. Share this message with the young people in your life. I hope you got something out of this. Looking around, making sure that Panthers not sneaking up on me. I'll see you for more next time from the most awesomest homesteading channel on the entire planet. Yeah. You know what? In the whole solar system. And I don't know, are there 9 planets or only 8 or 10? What is the public schools telling us now? Pluto's not a planet, it's ice. Oh, no, wait, it's a planet again. Oh, Jesus, whatever, man. Whatever. All right. Yeah, homesteading off the grid. See you for more next time.